Hello guys, how are you doing my friends? Happy Tuesday. I'm excited to share with you guys a quick tip, something that has helped me, and it can help you in pretty much anything and everything. Whether it is for home, for errands, for your job, your business, and that something is called the checklist. So I'm just excited to be able to share with you guys the checklist, the power of the checklist. So you guys can use that to your advantage to be able to get things done, right? So the reason why this is a huge help, it's because having a checklist helps you be proactive. And what that means is that instead of being reactive and react to things happening afterwards, when you're proactive, you're actually getting ahead of the game and you're planning for things. So that makes it easier for you to get the job done. So you making yourself a checklist in anything that you need to get done, it's going to help you achieve those things. And what happens when we achieve things, we're going to feel a lot better about ourselves. So that's just a very easy tip that can help you. It can completely change your life if you get in the habit of making a list, because you are going to be able to get all those things you have to do. You're going to be able to get them done, and you're definitely going to feel better about yourself, and you're going to be able to help others as well. So the power of the checklist, just a few examples. One thing that I always do is that there's so many things I want to get done in a day, right? Whether it is at work or both, work and home. You can make a checklist in any department in life, right? So for example, at work, when I start my day, when I get there early in the morning, I make a checklist of things that I already know that I need to do, things that I'm thinking that come up in my head that I want to do, things that are new projects that came up, new things that come about, things that I know that I have pending, things that are on my calendar. I put them on a checklist to make sure that I'm able to get them done before I leave. So when I look at that checklist, I see every little thing that I need to do for my day, right? And if anything new comes up, I add it to the list. And what happens is that whenever I finish a task, I check mark it or I scratch it off. And then it brings a great joy, happiness, fulfillment. It makes me content at the end of the day to look at the list and be like, wow, I got all of this done. At the same time, if there's something that you're not able to get done, you can always be like, okay, I'm going to keep this list and I'm going to add it to tomorrow or the other day, right? Some other day where you can get it done. So it's just a very good habit to build. Many people say, I don't have time to do things. I don't have the time. I can't find the time. I don't know where time goes. A lot of people keep themselves busy, but they're not really being productive. So it's super important that you organize everything that it is that you want to do in life in a way that you're able to get it done, right? So that's one of the most important things in order to get stuff done. Once we figure out what we want to do, or once we find out what we need to do, right? We want to get organized. So if you have bills to pay, it's great to make a reminder for them, to put them on your calendar so that way you don't miss any payments. If you have a party or a get together or an event, something coming up that your partner, your wife, your husband tells you, hey, you know what, we're gonna go with this, we're gonna go to this party on this day at this time. Make sure that you make time, or make sure you remember. One great thing to do is you can just put a reminder the day before. Put it on your list, right? Put it on your calendar so so you can plan accordingly. So I use my checklist like that as well. I write down things I want to remember in that list so I can remember that day. And when I have time later on, I'm able to be like, okay, this is how I'm going to do this. This is where I'm going to be able to get it done. And that helps me a lot. Now, it seems like a very simple tip. It seems like something that everybody does or everybody should do, and I definitely recommend it to everybody. But believe it or not, a lot of people don't do it. It's so simple, it's so corny, or we see it as something that it's not that important. I'll remember, so we don't do it. And then what happens is that we don't have that good habit of being organized with our thoughts and with those things that we want to do. So by starting to make a checklist, you're going to be able to accomplish more goals, get more stuff done, and be more successful at the end of the day. So making a checklist is also good when you're off. If you know that you have projects at home, things you want to do, what happens when you go to the market, you have a little list of things you want, so that way you don't forget them. Sometimes we go there, we shop for everything else, and we forget something that was very important, right? And we don't want to waste time by doing that or be upset later. So make yourself a list. So that same list can work in any way of life. If you are really busy with work and you also have things you have to do around the house, or if you have another business, something that you're working on, a project, it is important to put the things you need to do on your list. That way you're able to get it done. you know so for example, something that helps me and be able to manage the whole working for time, and also managing my business and spending time with my kids or getting the homework done, is by putting it on the list. Like remembering when I need to pick them up early, or for example, my son, my oldest son, has autism, so we have therapies and things. And when mom was gone on vacation, I didn't put my list for my list for Friday. I didn't put that we have this new OT that we just received, and we barely started like 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago. So we completely missed. I took my kids to the playhouse. We were having a blast. We were there for like 3 hours, and I get a call from this number, and I pick up, and it's this guy named Edward. He's like, "Hey, are you guys coming?" And I'm like, "Oh crap!" So I was super apologetic, because it's me forgetting to show up for that. It's not something that I want representing me, right? That's not who I am, right? I want to be all responsible and I'm on top of it. So I completely forgot. So, we scheduled a makeup section. So then I wrote it down on my calendar. You know what? I got to remember this. So it's just about getting into habit. How do you do that? You build a little checklist for what you need to do. You make a little list for the day, and then you check everything off. I'm going to go to the mail. I'm gonna go to the store. I'm gonna get this, and that. I'm gonna go get my oil change. I am gonna go visit a friend. I'm gonna go to the store. I'm gonna take the kids to the park. I gotta pick them up. I'm gonna do homework with them. I'm gonna read this book. Once you put that everything in your list, at the end of the day, at nighttime, when you look at that list and you see everything's been scratched off, you're gonna feel great. You're gonna feel amazing, like you're accomplishing things. So this is a really good practice to build your confidence and your self-esteem as well, to make you feel more professional and organized. Even if it's simple task, just the fact that your brain, you're visualizing, you're seeing those results daily, it boosts you. It helps you feel like you're accomplishing things. So making a simple checklist is something that everybody can do. So like I was saying, when it comes to me managing my business, super important for me to have a list. So what I do is I make my list, whether it is at work, but also at home. For managing my business, like I have, let's say, 5 people to reach out to that I need to follow up with, or customers that I need to talk to and see how they are doing. Things that I want to get done, right? Like today I'm going to be at home. I'm going to be busy with this or that. But hey, guess what? I want to paint the balcony, or I want to paint the door. I want to work on the garage. I want to organize tools, or organize. My wife told me, you need to put this shelf up for me for my makeup, or little things like that, right? So it's super important to put it on your list. You know what I mean? And now when we're talking about lists and having those things you want to get done on the list, something I really think is important, guys, especially right now before you start the next year, before we go on to 2022, one thing that a lot of people start doing around September is making a vision board. A vision board is going to be a visual list of things you want to do. And there's some magic behind that, because I really, once I look at the vision board towards the end of the year, I'm like, what the hell? There's so many things here that somehow, one way or another, happened to me, got done. They manifested themselves. Whether it is taking a trip, starting a new venture, having success in this, getting a new watch, a new TV, or a new car. A lot of these things, like maybe they didn't happen the way that you picture them in the vision board, but a manifestation of it happened. And that's just, to me, like I get shocked and I see like, what the hell, I put this here and it happened. So there's a big powerful manifestation behind having a vision board. So I really suggest that you guys do it. You want to travel the world one day, you have a bucket list. There's things you want to get done. You want to buy your dream home, your first house, your car, any specific vehicle that you want. Be very specific and intentional, and just, you know what, download a picture of it, draw it out, whatever it takes, and really work on your vision board. It's a fun project that you can do with your partner, with your friends, with your colleagues at work, whatever. And you're just going to be able to have some goals there for next year. So right now we're in November. It's not too late, but it's a good time to start thinking about, what do you want to happen in 2022? You want to be healthier? You want to be more fit? You want to travel anywhere specific, and you know you can do it, right? You want to save a certain amount of money. You want to invest. You want to start a new business. Just put it there, and I promise you that you're gonna be like, wow, I manifested this, and you're gonna get into the habit of having a vision board. Now, for me and my wife, it's something that we do in business. Like, you have to have one. I have to, but it's super encouraged. So we are in the habit already. I have mine over there. My wife has hers. And you know what I mean? At the end of the year, when we start, when you work on your next year's board, you're going to be looking at the old one, and you're going to be like, damn, like this happened. Okay, this hasn't happened yet. Let me put it on my next vision board because I still want it. And sometimes we grow and we change our mind, and that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with changing your mind, as long as you're always focused on growing, right? For example, I've tried different things in my life, different hobbies, different businesses. I've been a person that I've had many different haircuts, and I realized that some people look at change as something bad, like, oh, you always change. But some people, like, I understand now that maybe that's the way I'm meant to be. As long as my changes are always better and I'm always growing, I think that's super important. I think that that's something to be proud of. So if you feel that you're a person that always changes, is you're discovering who you are. That's something super important to do, that they don't tell you that in school. They tell you, find out what you want to go to college for. Why do you want to study in the university, right? Like, everybody's meant to go to school forever. What do you want to be when you grow up, right? Kids have such a big imagination. They don't have no limitations. We need to learn from them, because, oh, I want to be a cop. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a vet, a doctor, an astronaut. They have no limits. How many of us now, you and I, right now, can be like, you know what? I want to go into space. Or, it's just so you know, it might be more possible than ever, because I'm sure we're going to get to that point where we're going to need volunteers to live in space. But, like, how many of us, oh yeah, let me become an astronaut from one day to another, right? So, there is a lot of poor mentality that goes around in generations after generation, where you're like, oh, I have to think that I can be something that's possible, right? A career that I can do. But why set yourself limitations? What are you attracted to? Ask yourself that. Write about it. Be like, what would I want to be? What do I like to be when I grow up, or as I get older, or, now, even now, whatever age you're in, like, what would I like to do with my life, with the rest of my life, right? And then start making a plan for it. Put it on your vision board, take some notes, do some research. Like, okay, for example, I have somebody I know that wants to be a ranger, a park ranger, right? So this person wants to be a park ranger. So I'm like, I start asking him questions like, okay, so what does it take? What do you need to do? And he starts telling me, well, you do need to take a psychological test. You need to take a physical, because if you have any issues and physical issues that might not allow you to be a park ranger, you have to relocate, find somewhere to live close to the forest, right? To wherever you're training. You're going to have to go through this training, and it's paid for. And then once you're done, you're a ranger, and it's very possible. So that's cool. What about those people that want to be firefighters? They go to fire academy, they do volunteer work, they do training, they have to take a physical, psychological. Same thing with being a cop. You need a psychological test, right? A physical, and so many different things. I had a teacher, that he was in the army. He was in the Marine Corps. He was hardcore, and he wanted to be a cop when he got out of, when he came back, and they didn't allow him to, because I think he had a bullet in his leg. He had like a metal plate with a bullet there in his shin. So I think because he kind of like limped a little bit, so unfortunately he was not able to pass the physical. So you see, like, there's things that we can be because we just can't, right? You can't pass the physical, you can't be a cop, all right. but there's a lot of things that you can do. You can help your community in so many different ways. I had somebody who was a probation officer. I had a cook who worked for me at a restaurant, and he was going to school for being a probation officer, correction. So I thought that was cool. Like, and I think in my head, like, wow, why does this guy want to do that? Like, how did he end up figuring out that he wanted to do that? So I think it's cool that, when you talk to a lot of different people, which is another good subject, like learning to talk to people is super important, because you're going to get a perspective from a whole different world, somebody who thinks completely different than you do. So you're going to be able to learn something valuable. If you really pay attention to what they have to say, and you listen to their emotions and how they express themselves, you're going to learn something great that can really open your mind to think more about you and what you want to do. So I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like, it's so random, and when I look at him, because you know how they say, don't judge a book by its cover. I look at him and I'm like, man, this guy, he doesn't look like somebody who want to be that, but what do I know what you should look like, right? Or you want to be this profession or not. So I thought that was really interesting, and it helped me to understand more about him, even take him more seriously and have more respect for him. You know what I mean? Because he wants to pursue a career that's pretty hard, in a way that you have to be there for the youth, and for people who are been through problems, people who've been through, the system, who've been in jail, and all of a sudden, they get out and they're in probation. So, this guy is meant for one of those careers where you get to help people. I thought that was super cool, you know. So I think it's very interesting that people really start talking to each other, so you can figure out more about what you want to do. Another thing that all those people up there advise is for people to travel. When people get to travel, they get to find out more about themselves and what they want to do. They get a bigger perspective. So that's kind of something that needs to be on our vision board. It needs to be on our list, our bigger list. But going back to that basic about being proactive, guys, just proactive really means is like, be responsible for what happens to you tomorrow, today. Like, oh, I woke up today and, I go outside and this happens, and then it ruined my day. I stepped outside my house, I stepped in dog crap, and it just ruined my day. Like, you have two choices. One, you can really think that, what, today is going to be a bad day, and you say it out loud and it just turns to that. Or you can be like, you know what, I have a different pair of shoes, and this pair of shoes I like better anyways. Let me go upstairs. I'm gonna put these shoes outside. I'm gonna leave them outside or whatever. I'm gonna put my other pair of shoes, and I'm gonna get going on my way. And then I'm gonna always look in that spot, because if there's remember this, if there's dog poop in a certain area, there's most likely going to be dog poop there in the future. And I know that's something super, like, it's random for me to say, but I want you to use that and think of that as metaphor, like a metaphor for something big in life. If there's crap there, there's most likely going to be crap there always. So the reason I say that is because you learn from you through stepping into that. You were able to learn that, you know what, I better be careful when I walk around there, so next time this doesn't happen to me again. And that's what being proactive is all about. You learn a lesson. You can't change the past, but you're able to kind of prevent it from happening to you again. And that's how you become someone who can actually help others do the same thing. From your own experiences, you're able to share with other people something that you learned, and you're able to change their life so they don't make the same mistake, right? So, that's how we're able to dictate what happens in our life. You wake up one day, you step outside, and you say to yourself, today is going to be a great day. You start off by saying the right words. Something happens to you, you have patience to get over it. Someone says something to you, you don't let it get to you. Someone needs your help, you're able to help them, and now you feel better about yourself because you actually gave something away. You gave people time. Like I mentioned yesterday, time is something very, very special. You can give people money, you can give people a hug, give them some food, maybe some shelter. But remember, giving time to people, that's something that it's very valuable. I mean, they say time is money, right? And it is true. You can be doing with your time whatever it is that you want. But if you give it to people, then you're giving back something that is precious. You're giving part of your life, right? You can, be watching some Netflix, go to the pool, go play, do something fun, take a nap, rest up, read a book. But when you get that opportunity you know, that you get to help others by listening to them, talking to them real quick, and just giving some words of wisdom or support, that's something very powerful because you're impacting someone's life. Right now, people are struggling, but later in the future, they're being successful and they're always going to remember you and they're going to say, hey, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for helping me out. So I don't know how we got to this point from the checklist, but that's how powerful and big the checklist is. The checklist allows you to be organized in your life so that way you have room and time for things that matter. Your checklist gets you to do those things that you want to do so you're not worried about them. Because when you have clutter in your life and you have a lot of things that you need to do and you don't do them, they bother you. And what happens when something is bothering you in the back of your head? You can't focus. You can't think straight. You're not organized with your feelings, your emotions, and your thoughts. So you're not really able to function 100%. It's like you're shooting yourself in the foot, like they say. You're hurting yourself by not helping yourself to be organized with the list. So leave me in the comments, what do you do to get yourself organized? What do you do to get stuff done? What is a good habit that you have learned over the years that helps you to get stuff done and be successful? How are you able to manage work and family and even having a side hustle like so many people do? So many people I know nowadays are working on something, and it makes me excited because I don't feel it was the same a couple of years ago, but especially now after the pandemic, a lot of people discover the power of doing something on the side. A lot of us were unemployed for a second, laid off, furlough, let go permanently, businesses closed down, and what are you gonna do? Roll over and die? So people took advantage to save, to invest some money, to learn something new, which I think is awesome. Not everybody was super affected by this. A lot of people grew from this. So I think that, that's something really cool. So please share in the comments. What are you doing for growth? What are you doing to better yourself? And how did you like my video? What do you think about the checklist? You think it's corny? Is it helpful? Is it useful? And anything that you heard in this video that maybe touch your life and impact you, let me know if it did. That way I can talk some more about it and maybe help someone else. So that's it for today. That was a free, easy peasy tip Tuesday, free tip Tuesday that I can just share with you guys live. And hopefully you guys can share this with someone else who maybe they can find this useful. All right. Until then, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.